When the Tiger King miniseries premiered on Netflix in early 2020, few predicted the impact it was going to have. Its cultural impact has even infected the realm of U.S. politics, with many predicting that U.S. President Donald Trump would pardon the star of the miniseries, zookeeper Joe Exotic, before leaving office. Joe Exotic is currently serving a sentence for his involvement in orchestrating the attempted murder of fellow zookeeper Carole Baskin. This crime is shown in the hit Netflix miniseries, with many involved feeling the miniseries offers a view that is slightly biased towards Joe Exotic. Many feel this bias has led to the general perception that he's innocent, which in turn has led to this campaign to get him pardoned. However, it appears Trump failed to pardon Tiger King Joe Exotic. He's pissed. Tiger King appeared on Netflix on March 20 of last year. While its lurid subject matter would have interested audiences at any period, its ratings were increased due to many people remaining indoors as a result of COVID-19. This made the miniseries one of the most popular releases ever on the platform. On top of the miniseries becoming popular, it also popularized the real-life figures involved. The miniseries introduced audiences to many unique figures, some of whom the audience grew to have passionate feelings about. While some of these feelings were positive, many more were extremely negative. The miniseries tells the story of Joe Exotic, a homegrown zookeeper based out of Oklahoma who made a name for himself offering Middle Americans the chance to interact with tigers. As Joe Exotic expanded his business, he began to catch the ire of a tiger rescuer in Florida named Carole Baskin. Over time, the relationship between the two became fairly heated, which ended up resulting in Joe Exotic involving himself in a conspiracy to have the Florida tiger rescuer murdered. The miniseries depicts the details of the conspiracy as they occur, at least to a degree. Many, including Carole Baskin, feel the miniseries goes out of its way to try to paint Joe Exotic as a more sympathetic figure than he is. According to Baskin, Exotic is fully deserving of being behind bars. She goes on to express that he belongs in a cage, just like the ones he kept his tigers in. As a larger-than-life figure who went on to become somewhat of an anti-hero to the public, it's not surprising Joe Exotic found some mild kinship with former President Donald Trump. The miniseries even depicts Joe Exotic involved in two separate political campaigns himself, one for President of the United States and one for Governor of Oklahoma. These campaigns were both slightly similar in tone to the campaign that led President Trump to win the 2016 election. However, they were much less successful. Donald Trump Jr. took to Twitter in support of Joe Exotic after the miniseries premiered, but nothing more came of the relationship between Joe and the Trump presidency. However, that's not for lack of trying on Joe and his team's part. Joe Exotic and his legal team had been working diligently to try to receive a pardon from President Trump. However, now that Trump has left office for good, it appears their plans didn't come to fruition. Joe Exotic remains in prison, serving out his 22-year sentence. While Trump did issue plenty of pardons on his last day in office, none of them appear to have been for Joe Exotic. Still, Joe's legal team, including private investigator Eric Love, continue to maintain that Joe is innocent. They will continue to fight for what they feel is right, that being Joe's freedom. Exotic himself was fairly infuriated at the news of his legal team's lack of success. When he learned he was not going to be pardoned, he took to Twitter with a message that quickly went viral. However, its popularity was due more to many finding his words unintentionally comical than people actually sympathizing with his concerns. The message featured Joe Exotic claiming he was, quote, too innocent and too gay to deserve a pardon from Trump. He went on to express negative feelings about the positive attention Trump's son, Donald Jr., had shined on him before, saying that he only mattered to Don Jr. when he needed him to boost his social media post. Exotic concludes that he and his legal team were stupid to believe Trump actually stood for equal justice. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you like it, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content. And stay tuned, we're diving further into Joe Exotic's legal troubles. While Joe Exotic and his legal team are understandably upset about the lack of a pardon, many others are more than happy with this outcome. For one thing, animal rights activists are pretty thrilled that Joe Exotic continues to serve time. You see, not only is Joe serving time for the murder plot involving Carole Baskin, he's also serving time for the murder of 5 tigers, as well as selling tiger cubs and falsifying documents. As depicted in the miniseries, Joe murdered the tigers when they began taking up too much room in his zoo, and likely murdered many more than he was convicted of. Activity like this is one of the main reasons Joe Exotic caught the ire of Carole Baskin in the first place. As with her fellow activists, Carole is likewise pleased Joe continues to remain behind bars. However, her concern is as much personal as it is related to the health and safety of tigers. Given that she was the one Joe Exotic was convicted of conspiring to have killed, this is understandable. According to Baskin, she feels such a sense of relief now that the potential for a presidential pardon is no longer on the table for her would-be murderer. To her, a pardon was only going to undo all the hard work that went into bringing Joe Exotic to justice. Once again, her concern is both personal and moral, being both a victim and an advocate for the rights of tigers that Joe was treating improperly at his zoo. Carole Baskin has taken issue with the wave of support for Joe Exotic that has blossomed from the Tiger King miniseries. Not only that, she's also taken issue with the wave of negativity it's generated towards her. Not only did the miniseries seem to go out of its way to sympathize with Joe Exotic, it also seemed to go out of its way to demonize Carole. The miniseries spent much time speculating Carole may have been involved in the unrelated murder of her ex-husband. However, she was never proven to be guilty of her crimes, whereas Joe Exotic was. According to Carole, she, quote, felt betrayed by Netflix when she saw the final product and the way she was presented in it. She had worked with the producers of the miniseries for several years and felt misled once she saw how she was being represented. She goes on to say, the producers claimed the miniseries was going to have a much larger focus on the rights of the animals themselves, a topic that's arguably Carole's main passion. Carole works to rescue tigers from facilities similar to Joe's Oklahoma Zoo and is adamantly against breeding tigers for profit. She felt the Netflix miniseries was on her side about these issues. However, it appeared they were much more interested in the sensationalist story of Joe Exotic. Carole's concerns are understandable. She says Netflix totally lied about what their end product was going to be. She goes on to say that the relationship between her and Joe is by no means personal. She's, quote, never even spoken to him. The website Big Cat Rescue features a page dedicated to exposing the lies and miscommunications of the miniseries. The supposed feud between Joe Exotic and Carole Baskin is just one of many lurid stories that Tiger King presented. If you have another favorite from the miniseries, or if you have an interesting personal take on whether you think Joe is innocent, comment down below. And be sure to like this video and subscribe to Trender if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.